Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lethal Sales. We're so happy you're here. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Before we get started, a program note. Next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Lethal Sales annual holiday party. Funny hats, adult beverages are optional, and the swear jar will be put away. I hope you can all
Well,
make it.
And it's also the last show of the year.
Yes, that's why we're having a party, Peter.
If it's no swear jar, we should invite Brooke Furnace.
Yeah.
I oh yeah, do that. Tell her that we made a special concession for her. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, tonight's topic is the consumer experience and how can we make it better. And Jimmy was expounding tremendously, wonderfully, and I didn't want him to waste it all before I turned the recorder on. So, Jimmy, pick up where you left off.
Well, one of the things that I do when I go into dealers on a daily basis is focus on the consumer experience, right? I mean, when we were initially talking, Rhonda and I, we were talking about during COVID, right? There was high demand in little cars, and that made dealers lazy, right? They could get away with some of the things that they can't get away with today, and now there's a lot of cars in little demand. And so dealers that are focusing on the consumer experience are making more wins than dealers that are not. And, I have dealers that want to cancel my program, and the first thing I do is mystery shop them. And when I mystery shop them, I ask a specific question about that unit, like, can I pull my boat with this truck? Or does this car have Bluetooth or Apple Play? Or has this car ever been smoked in? And, they completely ignore that opportunity to start a conversation and just slam me into, we make VIP appointments, and yes, this car is available, and they don't give a rat's behind as to what I want. They're trying to follow their own little deal and their own email templates, and they don't take advantage of the opportunity to engage. Well, if the customer is submitting, leads to three other dealerships, what are the chances of one of those other three are doing that? And then ultimately they're going to be the one that wins over that customer. So, dealers that are, investing time and money into, making their consumer experience better, and not just at one time, but really focusing on the consumer experience from, when they submit the lead, are they getting an email template back? And, what are the different touch points and so on and so forth. 21% of the customer inquiries happens after hours. So what is your store doing when they get a lead at 8 o'clock at night versus, what is your competition? So I encourage all of my dealers with an open mind to mystery shop themselves and the mystery shop the biggest guy in the market and see what they're doing and what their time frames are, and are they relying on templates? And if you do that and you do that unbiasedly, you're going to see why you're not selling cars.
Okay.
So I'll jump in on that because I got a lot to say about it, and this is something I'm very, very passionate about. First of all, I have had the pleasure of working in Europe, Canada, and the United States, seeing all kinds of different ways cars are sold. Essentially, they are all the same, but they're done in different parameters. What the challenge is, and every time I look at the United States, the challenge is that the dealer wishes to control the customer. They think that they're controlling the customer. Well, that is the biggest misnomer out there. You don't control the customer. The customer has their own wallet. They have their own capability of signing for things. They don't. They're, if you think you're pressuring someone into doing a sale because you caught them there for 4 or 5 hours, and why didn't you complete that conversion? Whatever. You're just asking for trouble. You're asking for a challenge. You're asking for a Subaru Outback to come racing through your showroom like happened
In Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're asking for I had a big argument with a service director today saying that was 100% the dealer's fault. The dealer did not disclose properly what the car was. They said it was an as-is car. Here it is. There it is. Go drive it off the lot. You got a tail light warranty on it, and there you go down the road, and that's what you got. And the guy drove it down the road, found out the car was a piece of junk, and with that, he turned around and came back and said, "I want my money back." And they said, "Too bad, so sad. You bought an as-is car." That's it. And with that, he said, "Take the car back, or I'm going to drive it through the glass, and you'll take the car back." And he did, because the dealer stood up to him. Now, what does that say about us? We didn't have to put the customer in that position. We didn't have to do anything. We could have turned around and diffused that situation very clearly. You know what, sir? I understand you're upset that this car didn't meet your expectations. We did define this to you when you purchased that, but you know what? It's only been 45 minutes. Why don't we unravel the deal, make you happy, and let's find you another car on the lot that makes sense for you. Simple. What do you think that guy's going to do? He's going to say no? Okay, I don't want another car from you. Okay, no problem. I'd rather have him an advocate for us that said, "Hey, I unraveled it," and walked him on his way. But now we have a viral video that's going out there that is as bad against us as it is against the customer, and the customer's going to jail now. So here's the thing that I like to say. Are we actually working for the customer, or are we working for ourselves? And who pays us? We don't get paid by the dealer. We don't get paid by the OEM. We don't get paid by the banks. We don't get paid by anybody until the customer buys something. So if that is the case, then we have to treat the customer that much better. We can't do it and with NADA coming up, and this will be my last part of my soapbox rant. With NADA coming up, everyone's flying to NADA. What would we do as dealers, vendors, OEMs, if we called up an airline or texted an airline or went online with an airline and said, "Hey, I need a ticket to New Orleans," and they said, "Come down to the airport." Well, I want price. No, come on down. We'll treat you well. Come on down. And we're at the airport now, and we spent 2.5, 3 hours just going back and forth trying to find out if we can just get a price. And then after they wore us down and we were at the point of just sacrifice, we just say, "Fine, just do it." And then they turn around and say, "Okay, now that we got it all signed up, I just got to get a couple guys to sign off on it. And then when you come back, we're going to get you down the hallway here to the guy who's going to look after your bags, your seat selection, your flight insurance, your cancellation insurance, and everything else." What are you going to do? You're never going to fly with that airline. You're never going to use that third party. So why do we expect customers to work with us? And it's shown. Jimmy said it earlier. It's 4.2 dealerships that they're going to visit on. They're going to submit a lead to. They're gonna spend 17 hours online. 4.2 dealers that they're going to visit online and submit leads to. They're going to visit 1.4 dealerships before making a decision. And why is it 0.4? It's because the first one didn't do their job. End of story. Because they don't want to go to another one. They've done everything online. It should be a simple form. And that's why I am so happy to introduce the next person, because he and I align so definitively on this that it should be a one price, one person, 1 hour solution, which kind of is trademarked, I believe, by Mr. Reeves' partners in crime, Champa Automotive, which uses A to C, which just released the Amazon today. Was it today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Wow. So
Congrats.
congrats on that big announcement, Doug. You guys worked very hard for it. and I can see many more OEMs coming your way.
No, that's certainly the hope. I think the pigtail off of what you said, everything that we do at A to Z is focused on a better customer experience. And we realize it goes hand in hand with a better dealership experience. And really, the focus of us and the focus of dealers should be, meet the customer where they want to be met and give the customer what they want. Don't hide anything. I mean, the beauty of what we're doing now is it's fully transparent. Everything's done by the customer. They control everything. And really, in a traditional store that does like a one-person model, to a large degree, it's the same thing. The customer is really guiding the sales experience. The salesperson's just there to help them through it. It's not like there's an erosion of process. There's just a change of process that's much more customer-centric and much more meeting the customer's needs and consulting and not selling. And I think the other thing that I'm noticing is there's still a hesitancy of dealers to adopt a coaching mentality to really get their people to believe in this culture. And it's the far and few dealers that do this that are thriving and that will continue to thrive. And the dealers that just continue to do what they've been doing and pray for different results are the ones that are going to be left in the dust.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly all about. I mean, would you put your mother through this? There are some dealers that would, but
I know a guy who's got a Toyota dealership in Alabama that I guarantee would.
Yeah, I mean, there's some dealers that'll still high gross their mother, but frankly, if you wouldn't put yourself or your mother through it, why would you put a customer through it? Because your customer is going to pay a hell of a lot more than your mother is.
Exactly.
So,
and your customers are going to bring you more business as well. So that and I'm going to throw this question out to Jason. I was reading this week, and I forget who put it out there, but they were in a dealership. And at the dealership, the manager said, we don't give out trade-in values until we have a commitment from the customer. And the guy said, well, what's commitment? A deposit working a deal. And the guy says, well, the customer can go online and get a trade-in evaluation to the penny from 18 different sources. Why are you doing that? Why is this still happening, Jason?
I don't know why it's still happening. It shouldn't be. I mean, you can go. I mean, what if I want to buy that car? What if I give that customer a good enough deal on the car, the trade itself? They come back and they let me buy the car from them. I mean, we all need inventory. We need inventory that we can see, smell, touch, and feel instead of going to the auction or buying them online at some auction or whatnot. If I can see that car and I can see the car's overall condition and I can tell that owner took care of that car, I might give good money for that car, and I might give higher money than what the online expert tool database may say, because I see more value in that car. What if that is a car that my dealership needs to have in my inventory based upon the metrics or based upon whatever inventory selection tools that you may have? Or if you just know that this time of year, this particular car is a hot vehicle on your lot. I know those things, and some people, may not at other stores. They may not think that that's a good car. So if I give them more money for it, I want to see it, feel it, touch it, smell it, put the real money on the car, and then let them go to the other dealership and let them get, a lower offer or low ball offer. I mean, I may even use, who knows, incentives to sweeten the deal if I could. But to not give a number is ridiculous.
It's a kiss of death.
I mean, you have online pricing. And this is another thing that chaps my biscuits here. You're online, you have the MSRP or you have whatever price, then you have the internet price. But click here for your special thing. And then all it is it's an info capture tool. And then you're not going to get anything out of it. Oh, the internet price is the best price. Why just put the price? I mean, come on. The games, the gimmicks, stop it. Just
Bunch of
stop.
charlatans.
Gosh.
And that's why we have a 40% trust ratio.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what causes it. We do it to ourselves. It's self-inflicted. Absolutely 100% self-inflicted. And I'm going to throw this question. Wendy, you're smiling. You're next on the hit list.
That's because she's laughing at Chad My Biscuits.
So if we do this, and we talked earlier about the Cavender board, and I hate using them, but their board is published everywhere. 75 phone calls, 50 emails, 50 text messages, 20 social media posts, 20 videos, and 4 appointments per salesperson per day. And hold on, you have to sell 15 cars a month. Let's do the math. Is that even a possibility based on time, considering that the average sale takes 4 hours?
Hold on, let me think about that for a minute. No.
Oh, correct. Russell's right.
Oh, you didn't give Wendy the chance to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shit, Wendy, please forgive me.
Oh,
So if that's impossible, and this is where BDCs go to what I say that they believe they should be, is BRDs, business retention departments, because why pay for acquisition when you already have a massive database that is not being looked after? That first party data is so much easier to reconvert for your inventory and then create your growth from your third party. Don't look at growth from retention, look at growth from your third party. And that's where Wendy comes into play. How can a salesperson make 75 phone calls a day? Not forget about the emails and forget about the text messages. How does a salesperson do 75 calls a day? How many calls can a BDC rep make a day? You're on mute.
No, she's not. She's on something.
It's not on Fred's lap.
Wendy.
Wendy,
Santa's eating his own cookies. It's not even Christmas. Are you drinking
I
it?
wanted to see
he's
how
got the
deeply
cookies
you
and milk
dare.
under the tree.
So I do this to Fred too. Like he'll ask me a question and I'll sit there and he asks me another question. Then he asks me another question. And then he goes, I go, are you done yet? I go, because typically you give me like 3 questions before you give me time to respond. So I'm still processing and wondering which one you want me to answer
Okay.
first.
The one question I wanted you to answer is, how many calls can a BDC individual make that are quantifiable quality calls in a day?
Okay. The question to me is, how many people can they engage with? I mean, so, okay, God, there's so many layers to that answer. Peter, number one, it depends upon your technology and everything else. I use Volley, and I can record my own voicemails that with a dealership rep or my voice or an agent's voice or male versus female A/B test, depending upon the campaigns and everything else. And we can make between 240 and 320 dials a day. That said, it's dependent upon the campaign. Is it inbound internet leads and phone ups that you're following up on? Is it data mining? If it's data mining, is it old? I still heard, with all due respect, there are those out there in the sales field that feel like old sales orphans that just had a birthday are good for a new person to go after. Heck no. Sorry, Rhonda. Heck no. Man, put them on the missed appointments or something where the people have already committed and there's already been a small win and they can assume the reschedule and they can get the confidence and knowing that they do know how to set an appointment or something like that, or give them newer leads. But the point is, can a salesperson effectively make that many calls? Yes, Peter, honestly, but not with brand spanking new leads where you're expecting any kind of engagement. If you want to keep pounding the phones blindly to hope somebody answers and then that'll adjust it, what I suggest the better KPI is, what's your shows to leads that you're looking for? Like what was your productivity today? Did you convert pre-COVID numbers? The legit number is 70%. Did you convert 70% of those you engaged with to a showroom visit or a service lane visit? That would be the number. But not even that is clean, because now we're doing so much data mining and you're not going to get the same results on a recall campaign as you can retention, as you call it, because I don't even agree with a business retention department. I believe in a business loyalty department or an engagement department or a customer service center where you're truly being proactive and following the steps. I spoke with Jeannie Reitelbach after the call this morning at length, just about that whole thing, that we don't have. They keep moving the goalpost on us because of what their OEM is telling them as GMs and FO and fixed ops directors that they should be doing to perform or whatever. And they got the wrong people moving the goalposts, because those people know not of how you drive traffic with choices and selections. And Russell's already, like that side told me, right on, Wendy, this is what I'm talking about, because it's been going on for 30 years and it's still happening. What we need to do is train and coach our people in those positions to perform when they do engage. The numbers are the numbers. You got to dial to get the engagement, to get the sets, to get the shows, to get the sales. It's common sense. So you got to put in the time. But it depends on what you're working with as to how many a salesperson can do in a month. So it depends on the leadership would be my short answer, Peter. Depends upon the leadership, the training, and the coaching.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I'm a little bit off on that, because I can tell you again, back to the 3 different major areas I sold in Europe, all the customers called to the dealership. There was no outbound marketing whatsoever. It was a professional. You called in, you made an appointment, you came and you bought a car. You knew that the person coming in was buying a car. That was it. It's like going to the doctors. So completely.
Yeah, and they probably came in too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You couldn't walk into the showroom and expect to go look at a car. They'd ask you if you had an appointment. If you didn't have an appointment, they'd ask you to set one, and you would be turned away. In new car departments, it was unbelievable. But in Canada, and this is the numbers that I typically use a lot, is the United States has 17,000 franchises, 340 million people. Canada has just slightly around 39 million people, so 10% of what the US has. You would think we'd have 1,700 franchises. We have 4,700. We have 2.5 times the franchises per capita that the US has. Now, on that, the average person in Canada sells 10 cars or 12 cars. In the United States, it's slightly under 10. It's 9.7. Why is that? If we have 2.5 times the competition, but our salespeople sell 20% more than the US, there's something that's different there, and a reason behind it. The second part of that is, if I ask the salesperson in Canada to make an outbound sales call, I want you to follow up on every one of these people. I want you to do 50 phone calls a day, every single day. They'd walk out on me. They wouldn't work for me. I couldn't ask them to do 10 a day. They'd walk out on me. They don't do it. And yet we sell 20% more per salesperson than the US. What do? We work on retention and referral.
Boom.
We work on relationships. We work on what the customer wants, not what the dealer wants. The dealer wants sales. Well, through osmosis, if we create relationships with retention and referral, we will get those sales. And I gave Jason And
That's just Peter. That's just too hard. That's just too
yeah,
hard.
I know. Here's the simple math. Here's the simple math: 10 cars a month, 120 cars a year. Receive one referral per customer per year. Closing at 70 to 80%. We'll take 70% as the low. In 3 years, you're doing 47 cars a month.
I got to ask you
And we're
though.
not even talking.
I got to ask you.
Go ahead.
You and I have talked about this before, and I think everybody's probably heard this in this room. So I started selling cars in 1985. The average person sold 10. It's still the same today. How is this going to get fixed? I mean, it's going to take a long time to turn that puppy around. You know?
Okay, so you can't turn a battleship around in a bathtub. That's the first thing. And one of the things that Jason and I had a conversation with, Jason's looking for 50% growth in his sales staff. And we talked about let's change the dimensional aspects of 50% of your sales staff and leave the other 50% alone. Keep the 50% on the dinosaur method and keep 50% on the new millennium method. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. You can totally change it. Now, it's like installing A to Z in a dealership where it's a one person, one price strategy where there is no F&I office and the salesman sells everything and there's no desk manager. So can you do it? Yes. So what we look at it and we look at the potential of change. There's probability and there's possibility. Is it probable at 57 years old that I can play in the NHL? Yeah. Is it probable? No. And that's just the way it is. But I could be like Gordie Howe, play in my 60s. But it's not possible. It's not going to be a possibility. It's probable. But here's the thing. How do we change it? How do we change that mindset? Well, there was a thing called COVID, and COVID changed the automobile industry overnight. Absolutely overnight. And one of the things with automobile dealers, they are, and I've been told that I'm a little bit rough on them, but they're sheeple. They're sheeple, and they follow each other. They listen to each other. They do what everyone else does. They are the world's greatest clan. They want to be doing what everyone else is doing. Oh, who do you use for your web provider? Who do you do this? Why do we ask all these questions? Because we just want to follow. We don't want to. That's why there's nobody in a dealership going out to investigate vendors. We just ask someone, what's the 3 top vendors that you can recommend? Well, Dealer On, Dealer Inspired. These are the 3 top vendors for websites. Okay, we're going to use them. That's who we're going to investigate. We're not going to investigate Team MXS or this company because they didn't make that 3 list that Joe down the street is using. So the challenge is, how do we get that foothold in? And that foothold is going to make the difference. And that foothold is going to create the change that is necessary for people to understand. And the challenge that's out there is consolidation, the margin compression, there's turnover. These are all things that are not shown on a financial statement, but are going to hit hard. And that's the biggest challenge. And when dealers start feeling the pain, as Brian Kramer said it, it's not until they feel pain will they invoke change.
Hey, Peter, I noticed Wendy's got her hand up, and then I'd like to throw some ideas around. Wen?
Sure. Sorry,
Thank you.
No,
and it's wonderful, but I think what we do is we spend too much time on what the KPIs should be and celebrating or chastising those that do or don't make them. instead of in our meetings, let's celebrate the wins. Let's celebrate, like when my teams say, like if they don't get appointments on certain campaigns and they'll say, ring no answer or moved out of the area or did this or do that. And I said, that's all great, guys, but I got that from the data in Bali. What I need to know is those that you did engage with, why didn't they convert, and why didn't they set up? So why didn't they? So it's really nice. I mean, sadly, they don't have enough, sadly, they have the time to report that at the end of the day, but now they say, so-and-so said this or said that. Well, you can't fix everything in the moment. You can't expect your sales staff or your BDC agents to know in the moment always and to never, ever miss a step, because they will. You have to tell them that in person, same as in person, and you do a live TO to a desk manager or whoever, or floor manager when a salesperson is struggling. They have to know to ask for help. They have to know to pass the baton when they need to pass the baton. And it's the same as on the phone. If you have a live engagement with a customer and there's something outside the realm as a salesperson or BDC agent or internet person or one touch, and you don't know how to handle a situation, what happened to, you know what, that's a really great question. Can you hang on 1 second? Can I get my manager on the line or do whatever? And then, you know, like we've talked about this before, for me, for a live TO, I don't care what the objection is. I'm like, hey, this is Wendy. I'm one of the managers here. Were you coming in this afternoon or tomorrow to select a vehicle? Something to that effect. And they'll be like, what? I didn't say that I was coming in. Well, it's a pattern interrupt, and it's enough of a distraction that they're going to get out of objection mode and they have to collect their thoughts. And if they were slinging objections at whoever it is, like nobody's business, it's going to make them rethink, okay, which let me prioritize what I just rambled on about. What is my actual question? And then we can address it. And then we can teach our salespeople and our BDC reps and everybody else to do it. But you don't know what you don't know. So we can't keep placing demands on them. Do this many dials, do this, do that. What about the CTA? One of the things we do, and this isn't a pitch situation here where I'm going to do this, but when we do performance evaluations for BDCs, 80%, 85% of the dealers, that's why they're not converting their leads, because they're not engaging. And the 15% that they are engaging with, they're not converting because they don't know how, because they don't have the tools in their toolbox, because they have not been given the right tools. You have to borrow them tools. You have to do whatever till they can establish their own toolbox. Think of them as a technician, right? That comes without the armor or the tools. You're gonna borrow them. You're gonna teach them. So I think, Peter, that it's important that we celebrate the small wins and that we do more training and coaching so that we sustain not only so that we lengthen the tenure of our people so they don't leave and go somewhere else, and so that you're teaching for growth from within, and you don't have to keep trying to outsource and grab a red pill or a blue pill to make everything all better. Fix it. Fix your house. Put your house in order. Train your people. Don't make demands of them if they don't know what they're doing. And you know what? If you hire those that do know it, that's still a struggle, because you have to break them with the bad habits that they had that fit another culture but don't fit your own. So it has to be something we lock arms and we do together, and we teach our respective people wherever they're located to have those conversations, to start the conversations. But we have to let them know that it's okay to not have the answer. It's okay to turn over to someone that does, because when a second voice says the same thing the first voice says, it lends credibility to what we're saying and to what we can do and how we can help them at our dealership and how superior our customer experience is. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
Okay, what I'd like to do is kind of address a bunch of the things that I heard. When Peter was talking about the time frame to sell a car, and then he dovetailed into Doug Reeves and making frictionless in one person. Doug and Pete, a lot of that can be accomplished while we're on the road to just a one person handling from beginning to end by being more competent. Doug, I've seen it a million times as an owner and as a salesperson. A guy goes to the desk, he's waiting behind somebody else. He finally gets up and he says, I think this guy is a buyer. Great. Does he have a trade? Let me check it out. He comes back. There's two people in front of him again. Blows another 10 minutes. Yeah, he's got a trade. Does he have a payoff? I'll be right back. If we're efficient, we can sell a car in a whole lot quicker than 4 hours. You're not going to believe this, Doug, but I was heading out for vacation. It was my last day, and I sold a car in 22 minutes. I paid somebody $50 to finish my paperwork, which I had laid out perfectly, but it's doable. The more efficient we are, the more professional we are, better. And I keep hearing training. Listen, you know what we have to train people to do? I'm now going to dovetail into Russell Hill. Russell is, and I'm very grateful, is a fan of my Larry talks. And I'm proud to tell you, Russell, on one of the ones you'll see shortly, I quoted you. I said, my friend Russell Hill always says, I don't have to do it, I get to do it. And that happened to me today. I won't mention the name, but it was a real pain in the ass. I sent emails out with must have been 30 qualified people. And the guy, well, they didn't print it out. Long story short, I had to do it about 5 different times. I didn't throw anything against the wall. I didn't grit my teeth. All I could think of was, man, I'm glad they're screwed up, because if they weren't screwed up, they wouldn't be paying me the big bucks they are to do what needs to be done. If we can communicate to people an attitude of gratitude, be glad we have a career, be glad we have a job, be glad we have something to do, and pride in what we're doing. You know, you have to take pride in what you do, and you have to be grateful for everything. If we can instill that a little bit, I think we're in shape, because is everybody on this program as tired as I am of hearing people talk about culture, and then you go into their stores and it's like Genghis Khan is their trainer, that they get everything backwards and sideways. So I just think if we just look at this intelligently, Wendy, I'm real buddy with Jean Reitelbeck. I love her. And I talked to her, must have been right after you talked to her. And I said, that was a great, I love Barish too. But we could have had that show in 8 minutes. She started laughing. She said, why? I said, all we have to do is convince our service advisors to treat people like that we want them to come back. And to have operators, instead of saying, just putting them through the voicemail, say, let me check to see if he's at his desk. Hey, he's at his desk, I'll put you through. Or he's not at his desk. Would you prefer voicemail, or would you prefer I give him a note? None of this stuff is complicated. It's like everything else in life. We make it complicated.
It can't be that easy, man.
Well, no, because people seem bent on making everything as difficult as possible. You know, I got to tell you, I think I'm a world's expert on relations, because they took bets when I got engaged that my marriage would last 3 months. Well, I've been married 30 years. You know how nuts I am, Russell. I've had the same band for 40 years. And let me tell you something. I don't know. I know you've been involved with a lot of people, Russell. If you've ever hung around with musicians long enough, they are the most illogical, ill-trained, and this is where the expression herding cats came from. But guess what? I keep it together. And the reason I keep it together is, even when I'm mad at these lunatics, I look around and go, man, do I like playing with them? Man, am I glad I got a career? Man, am I glad I got nice friends that are on my show? If that's the attitude, it changes everything. You know, nobody wants eye rolling. Nobody wants people like my father had a great expression. Don't do me any favors. If you're going to do something for me, make it clear you want to do it, not like you're doing me a big favor to do it. And if we can convince everybody of that attitude, we can make this fun and make it clear. You know, I hear, oh, make sure you thank you. You shouldn't have to convince people to say thank you. Peter said it earlier. These are the people that are paying us. We kiss all the wrong butts in the car business.
Oh yeah, that's the challenge that we have. And Russell agree with it. Russell's been in it as long as you and I, Larry. And
Russell is a bitter man, because he feels like I feel that if Mark David Chapman had bad aim and shot Yoko, maybe McCartney at the funeral would have reconciled with Lennon, and then we would have had the Beatles unplugged. How cool would that have been, Russell?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm done. I got some good funny things in it. I mentioned Yoko Ono.
It was great. It got me pumped up, fired up, excited, motivated, on fire, ready to go, baby.
No, wait. There's one other component. You have to be willing to make a move and get off your butt. Let me see. Is he still on? Mike Larkin. I guess by now you all know Mike Larkin. He's It's just the easiest.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Who?
Mike Larkin.
Oh.
You
Hi,
can't miss
Mike.
him. He's the guy with the handsome hat.
Oh, got it.
Easiest, nicest guy in the world.
Yes.
He calls me up and he says, I'm going to get this guy, Gary Silman. On. And Silman's a real character. He just sounds like he's in a 40s, B movie. And next thing I know, I'm shooting videos, the Larry talks you like so much, and Larkin and Gary Silman make the move. Well, we've become inseparable. We're doing some business things together. What would have happened if Larkin said, I got stuff to do? Because we all have stuff to do. And Jimmy Emanuel, with the organization you're hooked in with, you know what I know. I'm real tired of people telling me they're busy when they're not 1/10 as busy as I am. So once again, we're back to priorities. We're back to an attitude of gratitude. This stuff is easy. We're alive. One day we'll be dead. In between, let's be constructive. Let's have sex. Let's eat pizza. And let's act like every day might be our last and not be complacent. I think I covered everything. I even got pizza and sex in there, Russell. How much more completist can I be?
You did. You left a cigarette out after sex.
I don't smoke. Yeah. How whacked is this? I'm a musician that doesn't smoke, drink, or do drugs.
It's not a cigarette. It's a sandwich.
Oh.
Spoken like a true car guy that's used to having a slice of pizza.
So when is the next Larry Talk dropping?
Rhonda, I think we'll have one this week, won't we?
Yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, time management.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah. Yep. One a week, Russell.
I didn't get notified.
Russell, I'm sorry. We'll get on that. Russell, you'll love this because you, like me, hate the perma-press guys that practice. We went up and shot 16 videos with really no script. Rhonda gave me some good ideas. I had some thoughts. Larkin's sitting there and says, how about this? Boom. Not bragging about it. I'm saying if you're loose, if you're not afraid to take a shot, if you're not wrapped up in minutia, it's amazing what we can do.
Here's what I'll say to your statement, Larry, about being your last chance or live life like it's your last day. Every day is your last day. It is your last day to make the first impression on that person. It is your last day to make the impact on that person that you could do. Because if you don't do it that day, you don't have it tomorrow with that person.
Jason, I do a lot of training, and I plan in 2025 to take over the planet because I'm tired of looking at guys that can't shine my shoes that are all over the place. I won't mention any names. And it's crazy. I meet some really nice guys, and they'll say, "Yeah, I know I could be doing more." What the hell are you waiting for? Listen, if you want to lay around,
you're waiting for Christmas, Larry. It's 2 more weeks. Come on.
Yeah. If you want to sit in your underwear and be on unemployment, do it, you dope. But what's the sense of going to work and not going home with a pocket full of money? Everybody knows it's more fun to be busy than to be bored. And yet all we ever hear is excuses. I'm afraid to think what Wendy's heard over the years about why they don't engage more. They don't smile more. Good, Russ.
I see everybody. I mean, there's a lot of everybody in here is busy. Okay. It's amazing that people that aren't busy just don't seem to have the time to connect. And the people that are really, really busy, they make time. Especially if it's for somebody that, is really out there doing it. I just, going back to Peter and changing the culture and everything, Wendy, what you say, man, the way you say it is like, man, that's just common sense. It's like, why doesn't everybody think that way?
Hold on, Jimmy Emanuel is missing your point. Jimmy, what he's saying to you, because of how well respected you are and you're that many dealerships, why aren't you telling more people about Larry Feldman's training and recruiting? You owe it to the industry. Hey, I didn't say it was Russell. I'm just kind of reading his thoughts. Continue, Russ. I had to get unlike Peter, who never
I was heading down that road. I was just fixing to tap on Jimmy. Said, Jimmy, why aren't you doing that? I just don't understand that. Now, Jimmy and I go way back. He's a stud, extremely knowledgeable, a road warrior. He's a road warrior, man. And you know what? There's no isn't no. No just means you don't have enough information to get a yes. He just keeps coming and coming and coming at you until you say, okay, wow, that makes sense. I guess I should do that. Yeah.
Well, hold on. There's another cool thing to discuss as we move towards the end of the year and into the holiday season. How great is it to be busy? What a pleasure it is to be busy and to have a purpose and just to
Man.
welcome people in. Jimmy, if you recall, Russell, who besides being a hell of a guy, is polite as hell, said to me, "Can I bring Jimmy Emmanuel?" And I said, "Are you crazy? Bring in anybody you like him, because if you like him, I'm going to like him." And like everybody else in this damn show, you've made really nice contributions.
Yes.
When you're open to things, life is easy. Now, the reason I'm saying this is I'm quoting my class. I always like to say, who's involved in a nice relationship? You're married, girlfriend. Okay. 1 minute before you knew them, you didn't know. And Wendy, you'll agree with me. Most women think men are a pain in the neck, and most men think women are the pain in the neck. But you took a shot with Fred. I took a shot with my wife. Well, isn't that the same with customers? Why are we still in an industry where you pull in and 8 morons go, what do they want? Well, maybe they're here to buy a car.
Oh no. Novel thought. I just yeah.
Hey, I'm just talking to my boy Jimmy. Jimmy, I always love to ask people if they're novices, because I do a lot of, recruiting and bringing new people in. What do you think car salespeople talk about all day? It isn't sex. It's not sports. It's that there's no business. And then when a car pulls in, 3 guys go, "Hey, he doesn't look like a buyer. Send the rookie out." So that's the mentality we have to defeat. The reason I outsold everybody that I ever worked with, and I wound up being a partner, is when you get out of your car, it's like, I'm selling them a car. You could see it on my face, just like you can see it on a salesman's face when he really doesn't want to wait on you or work with you. I mean, we got Santa on the show. What would happen if everybody that sat on his lap, he said, "You look naughty.
Let's see what he has to say about that, Larry. Santa, what do you have to say about that? Come on.
Fred, get one of the elves to push the mute button off.
I love Fred. He's awesome.
But before he gets on, I got to get my kids in here. They don't think I talk to Santa Claus.
Here, sorry, I was logging some jobs. Got one tonight here. Another Christmas Eve. Wendy hates it.
Moving right along, Santa.
First one I got at 9 o'clock. This one here is like an hour away over towards Scottsdale. Yeah. They want, hey,
that's Santa on the show.
Say hello,
how are
Santa.
you kids? You know what you want for Christmas?
Yeah. I just really want a real cat for Christmas, but Mom says no. I just really want a big cat more.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good. You got it.
Be good to Mom and Dad, okay? I'll be watching.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I think Santa should bring him a cat.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Jason get what they want, and Jason is getting thrown out of the house. He'll be sleeping in the back of a Mercedes.
I'm going to wear this out between now and Friday. But Santa, I will see you this Friday at the Polar Express to get my ticket punched. Okay.
Nice.
Love it.
Hey,
by the way, Jimmy, if we're talking Christmas, I saw this movie, the red one. It's where J.K. Simmons plays Santa, and The Rock is like his helper. Guys, go see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a freak for Christmas movies. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
We're big into Christmas here too. We have a whole front yard display, including a mailbox express delivery to Santa, and the kids put their little wish list in it. And I tell the parents, if you give me your address, I'll drop off a little bag of, maybe a Matchbox car or a little bracelet.
Oh man, that's so cool, Jimmy.
It's all over Facebook. It's catching on like wildfire. We enjoy it immensely.
Cool.
Now, do you see the smile on his face? It's evidence that the more you give, the more you get back. But only if you're doing it in a way where it's not for show, it's because you enjoy helping people. What would happen if we got the industry turned around to the point where they liked helping people? Where it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't an eye roll. What do they want? Listen, you've all been in various stages of retail, or even if you've never been in retail, but you're helping. How great is it when you meet somebody you don't know and they become a friend? Look at the opportunities we have in this business that you really don't have anywhere else. So to not take advantage of this guy, Jimmy's busy as hell, but you know what? He gets an unbelievable smile on his face when he thinks about helping the kids. And who knows what kind of effect that's going to have on those kids as they move forward.
Yeah,
So
I'm
people,
with you.
Jimmy, you're bringing up a generation of well-adjusted people, which might mean we might have a shortage of used car managers, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, you asked earlier why. Well, you have dealer principals that have been selling cars like this for the last 30 years. My dad sold cars like this, and and they're so far in the box that their box is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're not willing to step outside of the box, and that's the challenge, right?
Wait, Jimmy, and then you get PhDs. Parent has dealership, and then
Yes.
you get kids that I don't have to ask anything. I already know everything.
Correct.
That's always a pleasure, isn't it?
Exactly. And
Can I? I'm sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
you're the queen.
No, please. No, please. I really like listening to you talk about the smiles and making people happy.
Yeah, that's just the way I roll, and like Russell was talking about earlier, if you tell me no, that just means no today. And and next month, you probably won't even remember talking to me today, but I'll hit you again next month. But I'm big on dealer processes,
So you just keep coming, Jimmy.
I do, and
wait a minute. So on the same show, we have Santa and we have a stalker. I like this, Russell. We're capturing the entire range of emotions.
The secret thing is you can't hit them with the same candy every time. If you tried candy canes this month, next month you might want to try the chocolate covered peanut butter Christmas trees, and then that month after that maybe it's a lollipop. You can't hit them with
let me ask you a question, Jimmy, and everybody. What makes more damn sense? A guy talking about approaching people with a different method, which excites him because he knows he'll excite them, or people worried about nonsense, people worried about insanity? It's the people business. Doug's thing is, let's get less people involved, because every time you bring another person in, you're bringing in another friction point. But it still comes down. I love Wendy and I love her show. And I always say the same thing. AI is great, but it can't hug you. It can't tell you a joke. It can't smile at you. And it can't say, yeah, that happened to me too. Let's work around that.
It will. It will soon.
If I could put a little segue on Jimmy's story. It's funny. The last time I was in sales was March of 2007, and I delivered 21 Hyundais as a salesperson. And that wasn't really that bad. But I was working that star bonus, right? $100 a delivery. So it was 20 new cars and 1 used, right? So I don't know how I avoided the subprime ones for hours and hours and hours, but I knew how to move those new cars. But the problem was, even then, they called me the working man's friend, because they said I was more interested in the relationship with the customer than I was in making gross for the dealership. So I got that reputation, and the finance manager got mad at me and grabbed things out of his pockets more than once, would take everything out of his pockets when he was desking a deal for me, start slamming things on the desk. Here, take that, take that, take that. You took every other damn chance I had of making any money on this deal. So
no, Wendy, that's your fault. That's your fault, because you didn't say, hey, jackass, you're measuring the gross of one deal, and I'm measuring the fact that if you keep people involved, they might buy 30 cars and tell 30 other people.
That was it. And being cradle to grave, I had a guy who came from Chicago 6 months later, because I was the only dealer on an Azera that stayed with him. But point being, when my GM walked me in a call center after Greg Goebel heard me doing my up calls in an office next to my GM, he goes, "That's your call center manager." So the next day, he kicked the VP out of his double office. He said, "Here, Wendy, make me a call center." And that was early April of 2007. But the point is, when we told that same finance manager, he said, "Thank God, now she can keep her damn hands out of my pocket." So now I sell appointments, not cars. So
I wonder, somebody acting like that in front of you, what would be your breaking point before you show them the side of Wendy that you don't like to actually show when they cross that line? They had to be pretty damn close.
Well, the problem was I was with a real respected dealership that I went through 3 generations with, and this was their chosen person that was their finance and later GSM. And I was being respectful. I'm a car brat. My dad, I did the same thing. You don't always speak. But what made me go independent is because I got tired of my creative flow being stifled by people trying to tell me what I can say, what I can't say, how to write an email, how to do this, how to do that, even in a vendor space when I helped DealerStrong even open the BDC portion of their client portfolio. You have to be able to be creative. You have to be able to have that conversation. To Jimmy's point, something different every time, because you're not just slamming word tracks that are empty and irrelevant at them. You're having a conversation. You're looking at the prior conversation and the prior exchange or attempt to exchange, and you're having a conversation virtually. So that's what it is, Russell, now that I'm my own people, now that I'm Wendy Reeves, and dealers would call me in groups when I left Amato. Here, come fix our Nissan store. It was always a Nissan store or a Mazda store, oddly. And now here we are today, same old, same old. But it was always fix our store in a corporate setting in Milwaukee. And then as soon as I fixed that store with new process and people and accountability measures that they didn't closely monitor at a corporate level, they'd say, okay, we're going to kick it back up to corporate now. You can stay on as an agent if you want. And I thought, screw this shit. I'm going to help a lot more dealers, and I'm just going to hang my own shingle. And that's why and I can say whatever I want, and I'm not going to be hateful or anything, but I'm going to say it like I see it. And not everybody has ever been able to take me at full strength. And 10 years ago, I was known as a hard-ass trainer. Why? Because I'm transparent, and my responsibility is to the owner, operator, or the dealer. And if they have a pain point and I promise to solve it, then damn it, I'm going to solve it. And anybody who's in the way, I'm going to say it like I see it. And if it costs me the relationship, because I've even had people say, you can't talk to my person like that. Like I had a BDM lie and try to pass the buck on us for mismanaging inbounds that we didn't have access to. I said, look, she's lying to you. And he was like, well, nobody can talk about my employees like that. Only I can. So we separated, but he was an on again, off again dealer that finally, later on, they're like, you know what? She was right.
Wendy, you're doing a disservice.
Egos.
You're doing a disservice to people when you don't give them the truth. When you gloss over, which is what a lot of vendors do. They don't want to raise the waves, so they just it is. They cover their butts is what they're doing.
Because they want to get that recurring income every month, and if the team fails or if it doesn't work, then maybe it's another gig for them and it's more money, and all they want to do is monetize. We need to shake out the people, shake all the nuts out of the tree, and work with those of us that really want to affect change, and then affect that change.
And that's what we're doing. Peter and Larry,
I don't mean to be rude, but we haven't heard one word from my boy Mike Larkin. And we like to get Mr. Larkin involved. Mr. Larkin, do you have any thoughts here, sir?
I got to be short on this, but I'll ask the whole everybody in here. Who's the highest paid salespeople in the world?
Highest paid salespeople?
Car salespeople. Well,
I don't know. There was a couple drug dealers in Trenton that did really well.
If
I
you're
don't know
talking
about their
like,
pension plan, but
I had a feeling I'd get a number of answers.
Insurance.
Are you talking about per hour that
Insurance.
they're actually working, or?
Well, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Actors have to rehearse what they're going to perform before they perform it. And I'm hearing a lot of talk about role playing and all that stuff, but how often is it really done to the point where if you want a result, you must rehearse it?
Well, wait a minute, Michael. Michael, hold on. But there's a director, and if you don't do your part, they fire you. If without a strong director at a dealership steering people and demanding their best, you're never going to get it.
Yep. I mean, again, it's just going back to it's not loading their lips. I mean, you can wiggle around in your chair and add your creativity, but there's a process. There's a certain amount of questions to get that result. So practice that and you'll get the result, or not and get fired and keep on moving and moving and moving. And that goes from the top down. That for me, they say that the fish stinks from the head down. Well, I mean, if you're gonna fly by the seat of your pants, you're gonna be like that '80s Greatest American Hero. You're not gonna land well.
Cool. We're at 8:03. Boy, did that blow by.
Yeah.
Guys, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming in and do me a favor, Russ, bring more cool people like Jimmy Emanuel. And all of you. You're always welcome. We appreciate you. For anybody that got on late, next week is the holiday party, and Rhonda has thrown out the swear jar.
I'm gonna let Brooke know. Everybody needs to reach out to Brooke. Say, Brooke, bring on the swearing, because
And just to let you know, tomorrow night we have Jason Reed, Gene Reidelbach, and Kelly Rees talking about who pays us in the dealership.
Right on.
It's going to be an amazing night.
Wear your earmuffs this next week, Rhonda.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll have my smelling salts.
Guys,
Good night,
we
everybody.
appreciate you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. We love you
Bye.
guys so much, and we'll see everybody next week, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night on Peter's show.
Thank you.